won it. Lungwoods Jewelers in Carbondale, they won it. It was about 7-inch square. I mean,
Big one.
70?
this size shot.
7.
Yeah, this size, 7 inch. From here, you know, what is it, how they measure it from here to here?
At her age, that was 7 inches.
What was it like to see cows come into?
Yeah,
existence?
didn't they have cows when you were little?
Yes, they did. We used to say that to the kids when they were little. They said, yes, we even had cows when we were little. So they don't let us
I think it
do
was Rebecca asked you if they had cows when you were little. If
I
cows
think
were
it was
invented.
you.
It was me.
I want to tell you, we've got, and I know every one of you say the same thing, but I want to tell you the truth. We have got the 5 best kids in the whole world.
So if your
They are
kids have any
so
parents, just know you're not as good
They are
as
so
us.
they are so respectful and loving to us. I cannot count my blessings enough.
That's fantastic.
We paid her off.
But, buddy, do you remember the first time you drove a car? How old were you?
It was a horse, wasn't it? Yeah, horse and wagon.
Don't say that, because my
No,
dad's older than
no, I'm
him.
Maybe
Well,
I
you had me
was,
16.
well, I was about 13 or 14, and my dad would let me wash trucks and cars down at Wallace Chevrolet, which I thought was a big deal, so I get to drive them around the parking lot. I couldn't drive them off the parking lot.
Right.
But that was a big thing for me to drive a car around or a truck. And I was always amazed how anybody could even afford to buy those vehicles. A truck, my lord, cost $900 to buy. Man. But anyway, that was a couple of years ago.
How old were you when you first flew an airplane?
In my 30s.
How was your first flight by yourself?
It was a rush.
You remember it like yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll almost ruin you for driving a car.
Definitely.
More fun than paragliding?
I can
Randy
remember.
has.
I remember when Marina got her license because I would ride in the car with her. We lived in Cape Girardeau, I think, and she had a stick shift, or Grandpa did, and her problem was is that on a hill, when you had to come to a stop sign, you had to figure out how to keep the car running, keep the brake on, and then get ready to move forward. And what happened was is that if you let the clutch out too fast, then the car died and you rolled backwards. And we did that a lot. But she finally got the hang of it. But I was her token passenger, I guess. And we rode around Cape Girardeau, mostly backwards. That was fun. Anyway, she's my favorite aunt. For all
And
time.
your closest one in April. My parents courted in a horse and buggy. My mother, again, you know, that generation, and I'm not like this, my girls will tell you, my sons too. But didn't divulge a lot of details about
Can you tell me?
private things. And so, one time, I saw it was so unlike my mother. I guess she was just telling about when she and my dad
We're dating.
were dating. And she just said, it wasn't even a twinkle in the eye, because I don't think she wanted to show emotion about it, but she said, you know, in the horse and buggy days, cold winters, you heated a brick, and, you know, so kept her feet warm, and then of course you had some kind of a lap covering your coat. And so I was thinking, that was bitter cold. And she said, but, you know, out in the country, those horses, they knew the road, they knew where home was, and your dad could just drop the reins. That's all she said. I'm thinking.
Now, she doesn't.
They stayed warm.
As Sandy well knows, and Cheryl, but I don't know, I seem to pick on Sandy when she calls me in. I tell her some history of the family, because if your kids don't know a history of the family, I'm so glad we're all together here, you know, you just lose it, that unity. And so Sandy listens to me, I think, and as she drives back and forth wherever she was working or whatever. And so I've talked a lot about so-and-so, you know, she was the daughter of so-and-so and all of this. So I'm really glad that we're doing this here tonight. And this is the second time this week I have had a senior moment, because I cannot tell you what I was going to tell you. But I do, it'll come back to me.
You were
But
talking
wouldn't-
about Philip Morris cigarettes.
But when I was 60, Randy, do you remember this?
Yes,
We were
it was like
there in
yesterday.
Waco at a church gathering, and he knew the people from Illinois. We were all having such a good time. I was introducing them, and this is our firstborn son, and da-da-da-da. We chatted fast as could be. 5 minutes later, I introduced him again. They didn't quite know how to tell me. And so, from that point on, I actually haven't had that many senior moments, but they have gotten frequent in the last month. What did I just say?
Well, what's it have to do with firstborn son, and why am I not in this conversation?
Because you were there and they knew you, but they didn't know.
So it didn't matter. It doesn't count.
Pretty much.
No, they already
better?
knew you.
Pretty much.
But I'm sorry, I wasn't, oh, I know, I wanted Bruce, so you have to put up with this, because I asked him to, and I'm just taking advantage of it.
What's that?
He wrote me a letter, I wrote him 4 or 5 months ago, and said, because when he lived with us that year or so, I asked him, what was a fond memory? He wrote, in fact, Rebecca, he surely is a creative writer. You judge him. He's going to read the letter he wrote to me concerning his fond memory. So this goes way back across generations. But it's just something that was very perfect. I mean, I know the guy who wrote it. So,
Well, before you sit down,
okay.
I'm curious, hopefully everybody else is. I'd like to have your best recollection of your time in Japan, each one of you.
There's not much enough time for that.
just one.
Just one of your best ones.
One real exciting time was when Monty and Judy Green came to Japan to visit us for a couple of weeks, or a week, or whatever it was.
Seemed like forever, right?
And, you know, because, you know, we didn't see too many white faces. And we went to the airport to pick them up. And the airport was about 100 kilometers from where we live. Well, you got to go through a tunnel. When you go into the tunnel, it's got 3. You either go this way to the north, that way straight, or that one, you go south. Well, they had some crazy writings up on the wall. You had no idea what it was saying.
Yeah.
And so we had to figure out, you know, which one of these do we go through to get to the airport? Because we had a real good friend there, Japanese chaplain on the air base. He would not drive to the airport. I remember telling him, I said, hey, son, I said, it's in Japanese, you're Japanese. He says, it's very confusing. He could not get over that we would drive, so we would take off. I remember going the first time we were going down there, I said, well, so we don't know where we're going. And so we started sending up,
And you don't know in advance that this is coming up, and then 3 ways to go.
we'd send up flare prayers. You know what a flare prayer is? Lord help us. and we would just pray, which one of these tunnels do we go through? And I'm telling you, for over 6 years, we never ever got in the wrong tunnel.
But we
Every
never
time-
remembered the tunnel. Never
Yeah.
done.
Every time we'd go back, we'd have to, Lord help us again. We'd have nowhere to go, but we always hit the right tunnel, you know, going. And so, I'm telling you, God does give direction. Because we would have been absolutely lost if we hadn't been able, you know, to do such a thing. And,
It was phenomenal.
yeah, and probably one of the most
You only
other,
got one.
only one I got to. One of the most other really exciting things was to see a Japanese give their life to the Lord when they knew absolutely nothing. And we found out that it would take at least 1 year of teaching and talking with them before they would ever decide, okay, I want to follow Jesus. I'm telling you, 1 year we never saw anyone with that less time, and that's with talking with them and spending time with them every week of that whole year. And I tell you this one girl I want to tell you about, and she was a concert pianist, you know, like this. And so all these weddings, I did over 900 weddings when we were in Japan. And she was one that would play the organ, you know, for all the music. And but she didn't know anything about Christianity or anything like that. And so we every week, you know, we would be doing weddings, and she would be there, and so I'd get to talk with her. And so it just so happened one day that she had a disease. I don't know if we call it a disease, but she had eczema over her whole body. And Hoyce was taking some kind of medicines and solution stuff on her, but it never would clear up. And I just remember when there was a time that Marie and I were talking with her and saying, you know, those doctors are not healing. And we started telling her about there's someone that can heal you on this. And she wanted to know who's that. And at that time, make a long story short, God healed her that day. And that eczema just left. And she never had a problem with that ever again. But she got so excited about being a Christian. She had a car wreck. And so she had this big neck thing on. So they put her in the hospital, but she was there for a year. And she was the most bold Japanese I ever saw. She'd be out of that bed the first chance she got. And she'd go over to the grandma that was in the same room with her, yell into her ear because she was deaf, and start talking to her about, you know, that God can heal you. And she's, I'm going to pray for you, and she'd do it. She's in that hospital, and the doctor gave her permission. This young girl, she's like 23, she went to every patient in that hospital, every room, just to pray for those people that are in there. And she even prayed for the head doctor. And she was telling him that, I'm going to get rid of all your patients. They're all going to get healed. And then she turned around and she led both grandparents to the Lord. And then Shad and I were staying up there by ourselves because Marina and Rebecca came back to the States for something. What were they back there for? Anyway, that's what. But anyway, this girl's mom felt sorry for Shad and I, so she baked a great big platter of
Pot stickers.
they call them jowsets, but they call them pot stickers here.